YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am doing a fantasy book haul. Lately, I have been collecting so many good fantasy books. Oh my goodness. Some of them I bought in the store because holy smokes, they were having a sale, or some of them got library book sales, all kinds of places. So I've just been collecting a bunch of fantasy stories and I am so into it right now. I'm so into these. Let's get into it. I can't wait anymore. I just want to talk about books. First things first, I have Empire in Black and Gold by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and this is Shadows of the Apt Book 1, and I found this at a library book sale, so I got it for 25 cents, and I was like, ooh, this book is thick, and I got it for $0.25. This is not the first video I filmed today, so I have been drinking. But I'm feeling really dancy, so it's a dancy kind of drinking day. Let's go with it. So, in this world, there's the lowlands, and they're all peaceful and junk. However, there's this other civilization, like the Wasp civilization, and they like to conquer people. However, in the lowlands, there's this one dude, and he's just like, hey, we should stay ready so we don't gotta get ready, because I don't trust these wasps. Like, they're up to no good. We gotta get our shit together. And I think that's the point of the book. There's a war coming, and he's like, I gotta fix some stuff. So, it's fantasy, and there's like a fireball of some kind on the cover. So, I don't know. I've heard things about Adrian Tchaikovsky, but I've heard sci-fi things about him. But he's also a fantasy writer. So I grabbed this. It's the UK edition. Got it at a library book sale. 25 cents. I'm a champion. I was really excited about it. I also picked up recently The Last Wish by, oh gosh, Andrzej Sapkowski. I know I'm not pronouncing that probably correctly, but this is The Witcher, you know, that series that's many video games, and also it's coming to Netflix, it's going to be a show, and this is the first book of the series, and I was like, yes, I want to read that, and I want to watch the show because the show looks dope, and I am really good at reading things more so than watching things. However, I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch Witcher, like I'm going to do that one, but this one I also want to read. I want to compare, I want to see what the books are like. So, this is about Geralt of Rivia, and he's a witcher. He is, he hunts bad witches, but I think he also has some powers, and it's kind of like a dark fairy tale monster hunter-y story, and I mean, I'm just like vibing on its whole aesthetic and like fantasy elements that I've seen like in the Netflix show, like trailers, so I'm really vibing with it, and I just want to see it. And I want to read it. So I got this just simply for that. This next book, Wolf by Ryan Graudin, I actually got for free. I found this in a little like, you know, like a community library box. And they said, free, take a book. And I was like, I want to read that book. And I took it. Eventually I'll have to go back and like donate some books to it. But in the meantime, I got Wolf by Wolf. On the cover it says, the race to kill Hitler begins. So I was like, okay, I'm into this. I have been wanting to read this for quite a long time. It is kind of speculative fiction a little bit. It's basically, hey, what if the Axis won World War II? And now you have like Germany and Japan as these major world powers controlling everything. And they have this like big motorcycle race, and then the prize at the end is that you get to meet Hitler. And this girl, Yael, she was in a death camp, and she's like, hey, Hitler, fuck that guy. I'm going to win this race. I'm going to meet him, and I'm going to kill him. So I'm like, you got a plan, girl. I'm into you. And I've been wanting to read this for a long time, and then I found it in a free library, and I got it. I'm so excited. I'm pretty much killing it here. At another library book sale, I picked up Survive the Night by Danielle Vega, and this one I was like interested in. I've been interested in it for a while. I did read The Merciless by Danielle Vega many years ago, which is basically if Mean Girls was The Exorcist. That's the best way to describe it. So, I mean, as far as concept go, very cool. As far as execution went, it wasn't that great. But I am cautiously optimistic about another book because I kind of like her spooky vibes, so I want to see what this one's about. Basically, there's a bunch of kids, they go to a rave, they find a mutilated body, you know, as you do, and they're like, oh shit, and then something's chasing them, and it's either a thing or a person, they don't know, but it's mutilating bodies, so you don't want to meet it, and they're trying to survive the night. And I'm like, as far as like horror movie setups go, that's pretty sound. It's like a good setup, so I am super fascinated with this. I definitely want to try this one out. Next up, I have The Wolf by Leo Carew, and I bought this mainly because Leanna from Leanna's Library loves this, won't stop talking about it. So it was like, okay, you got me to read the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, so I will try this as well, because I hear good things, mainly from you. But anyway, I found it, I had a coupon at Barnes & Noble, and I bought it 25% off, so deals. I was very excited for savings. So this one is kind of like the first book I was talking about. There's just two races of people. One of them is in the north. They're kind of like an ancient-y people, and they live for like centuries. I'm kind of getting Yoda vibes off them, but they live in the north, and they're all ancient-y, and like they don't like comforts, and they're like, oh, we're tough. And then the south people, they're like, nah, we live in the moment. We like beds and like houses and shit. Like we like soft things. And then the south is like, we're gonna fuck you up, and they go like try to start a war, and then they're gonna fight. And it's a war, so bad things will happen. But that's kind of the idea here. But I have heard amazing things, so I am interested in it. I am excited to read it, because it might be really good. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping. It's definitely very fantasy. It's from Orbit. I'm kind of really getting into Orbit as a publisher lately. They have like really good stuff on their roster, so that was like another selling factor here. This next book, Romanov by Natalie Brands, I received from my Amazon wish list from one of my subscribers, Maggie. Oh my gosh, you were the sweetest, most generous person. She sent me this book. So thank you, Maggie. I am so appreciative of you. You are a wonderful person. So as the title suggests, Romanov, this is about an Anastasia story, the Romanovs. And in this one, there's magic because Anastasia, she's going into exile because her family's all been murdered by the Bolsheviks. But in her suitcase, she's got a magical spell, and she's like, I gotta save this spell and do stuff with it. And then, you know, the Bolsheviks are still hunting her, but she's got a spell in a suitcase. So it's Anastasia, but magical, and I'm into it. So thank you so much, Maggie. I really appreciate you sending me this. You're wonderful. I picked up Velocity Weapon by Megan E. O'Keefe because it has been recommended to me many times by several of my friends, and I really, really wanted to read it because I'm trying to try out more sci-fi type books. I am much more of a magic over technology kind of girl in my reading taste, in my, I don't know, my personal life. I don't really have magic in it, but, you know, iPhones are kind of magical when you think about it. Anyway, I do want to try some more sci-fi. It's hard for me to find sci-fi that I'm really, really into. But this one's been recommended to me a bunch, so I'm going to try it out. This book is about this pilot named Sanda. She is in space in a gunship, and it gets hit and it explodes, and she gets like put in her pod. She's floating around in space waiting for like the, you know, rescue teams to come get her. So she expects, you know, she'll be in the rescue pod for a couple days, and she'll get picked up, and everything will be cool. Turns out, nope, she wakes up 230 years later aboard this empty spaceship and finds out, oh, that war you're fighting, yeah, it's over, you lost. And she's like, what? So, that's a rude awakening. But I have, like, I don't know, the blurb on here is very short and vague. But I'm feeling this spaceship she's on is gonna have, like, HAL vibes from 2001, The Space Odyssey. And I'm like kind of feeling it because I feel like this could actually be like a scary book. I'm hoping this could be a really fun one to read, so fingers crossed. I want to try more sci-fi. I also picked up Gameboard of the Gods by Richelle Mead, and I mainly just picked this up because I had a bunch of credits at a used bookstore that I sold some books to, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy this. And Richelle Mead is the author of the Vampire Academy series. I actually really, really love the Vampire Academy series. It's like perfect teen angsty vampires. Like, it's everything I wanted it to be. So I do want to kind of read this. I think this is an adult novel, or at least new adult. I don't think it's a YA story. I'll go with that. So I'm just going to read you this first paragraph because I've continued drinking and I can't think of words to describe it. In a futuristic world nearly destroyed by religious extremists, Justin March is a former investigator of religious groups who was sent into exile after a failed job. A fate that has left the brilliant servitor bitter and free to indulge his addictive personality. Suddenly, Justin is sent home to the Republic of North America, aka Runa, with a peculiar assignment to solve a string of ritualistic murders steeped in seemingly unexplainable phenomena. So, it's like this private eye detective-y guy, and he's like, I am solving religious murder crimes. And I love, like, the setup. I will admit, I went on Goodreads and I have not seen good reviews of it though. However, the blurb is excellent, so I don't know. I want to try it. I'm hoping I'll love it. I haven't really read anything else by Richelle Mead that I've loved. Like, I've read Vampire Academy and its spin-off, and I love all those, but I want to try something different from Richelle Mead. So I got this for free, basically, with credits anyway. I'm not losing any money here, but I want to try it out. I also picked up Cursed by Frank Miller and Thomas Wheeler, and this is going to be a Netflix series, and essentially it is a Camelot story, except it's like, what if Excalibur chose a queen instead of a king? And oh my, I have been wanting to read this so much, because Frank Miller did Sin City. He's a comic books author, illustrator, writer guy who I've read a lot of his stuff and I like it. So I'm interested to see how he's going to do with this, because I believe this is YA. And also, like, you guys can't tell from just seeing this book, but it's so heavy. It's so heavy. Like, this last book, like, it's like approximately the same size and thickness. This one is so much lighter than this one. I don't know what it's made of, but it's heavy. Oh, and it has pictures. Oh my goodness, and the full color pictures. I am very excited. I think the paper in here is like a higher quality and is thicker, so maybe that's like a key factor here, but there's a lot of like Frank Miller inspired art. It's very Sin City-esque. But yeah, it says, whoever wields the sword of power shall be the one true king. But what if the sword has chosen a queen? So this is about Nimue, and she was the Lady of the Lake, essentially. So I'm thinking Nimue might actually be the fated queen of Camelot. And I don't know, I've been feeling like Camelot stories lately. I've been wanting like more like medieval-y stories. I've been reading a lot more stories that don't seem like they're medieval. They seem like they're more like maybe 1800s or 1700s and stuff. I want like a medieval story. Just swords and fires all over. That's what I want. So, yeah, Cursed. I am so excited I have this. It is heavy, though. I want to put it down. It is heavy. Another book I picked up recently is A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. This is happening after the events of the First Law trilogy, so I believe it is in the same universe. I'm going to work on finishing that series, so I am excited. I do want to, like, continue on in that world. And since one I know happens in that world, I do want to try it out. And the main reason I bought this at Barnes & Noble was because they had signed copies. What? Joe Abercrombie lives in England. He ain't never coming over here. So he signed a bunch, although his signature is like lackluster. It's just like a scribble. But it's signed from Barnes & Noble, and that's why I wanted to buy it. I haven't read the last book of the First Law trilogy, so some of these things in here, I'm assuming I should know already from that book, but I'm spoiling myself. But I'm thinking this is like the next generation after all those people we've been following in the First Law trilogy, and how things are changing, because I feel like industrialization is now coming to this world. So like I was saying, medieval fantasy as opposed to like 1800s fantasy, because they're becoming industrialized. So when I was reading this, I felt like it was much more recent history than medieval history. So that being said, they are becoming industrialized and things are changing, and it's like basically the same world but through a more slightly modern scope. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of the old ways and the new ways clashing, and how does like warlords fit into an industrialized world. So it has some cool themes I'm going for, but I will admit the main reason I bought it was because it was signed, and I wanted something signed by Joe Abercrombie, so la la la. Last but not least, I also picked up The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the end of the Folk of the Air series. I have been wanting to read this so bad. I should just read it now, but I'm like been waiting for a second. I don't know why. I'm scared to read it because then it'll be over. I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about the ending, because I've loved the first two books. It's so juicy and like full of like drama and intrigue and angst and fae and like brutalness, and like Jude, she is Slytherin AF. She's the main character. I love Jude. She is like so plotting and like smart, and I like her a lot. And then I want so much of this that I'm scared to read it, because I'm like, what if I don't get it? I don't know how to feel. But I'm very excited I own it, because it's the end of the series, and I want to read it, but I'm scared. I think you guys understand how I feel. I'm gonna take a break from filming, because I've been drinking and I should rest for a minute. But anyway, these are a bunch of fantasy books I've been picking up lately. They're all so cool, and they're all cool stories that I get really excited about, and hopefully I'm going to read them in a timely manner. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, let me know in a comment down below, have you read any of these books? And if so, what were your favorites? What were your least favorites? Let me know in a comment down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!